All right, there's been lots of talk about the McRib lately, so in this video, I'm going to show you how to make a McRib using real smoked pork ribs. All right, so whatever barbecue you're using, set it up for some indirect smoking. We're going to be using the snake method in our Oklahoma Joe's Blackjack kettle. We're going to get started by getting some firelighters going, and we want to get about 12 to 15 briquettes on. All right, now we can come over to our kettle, open our lid, take our cooking grate off, and then we can start setting up our snake. So basically, you want to get some briquettes, lay them down, stack them up in a domino style fashion like so. We want to do this around the outside of our charcoal grate. No matter what briquettes you're using, I'll always run 2 rows on the bottom layer. Now this is only going to be a 4 to 5 hour cook, so we're just going to go around halfway around the outside of our charcoal grate. Alright, so that's looking good. What we want to do next is just add a second layer on top. Now if you're using larger briquettes, I'll just run a single stack through the middle. But because these ones are on the smaller side, we'll run 2 rows on top as well. Alright, so we'll come back to this once our briquettes are ready. They're still about 5 minutes away, so we'll use the rest of this time to trim and season our pork ribs. Alright, so we've got this beautiful little rack of spare ribs I picked up from my butcher at Austral Meat. To get started, we're going to take this bottom membrane off. So you want to get yourself a butter knife, work it underneath a bone. I usually go about the second one in. You really want to use a butter knife for this. If you're using a trimming knife, you're just going to be slicing through the membrane. Once you've peeled a bit off, you can get your fingers under there and just work the rest of it off. Then grab some paper towel. That'll help you grip the membrane, and then you just want to start peeling it off. All right, and then while we're here, we'll take this flap meat off the bottom. Then we'll flip it back over. And we just want to take any excess fat and silver skin off the top. Alright, so these are looking good. What I'm going to do now is just give them a light coat in olive oil, which is going to help our rub stick to the meat. Then you can go ahead and use your favourite pork rubs, but I'm going to be using a combination of our honey soy slammer and steak shooter. So I'm going to lay down a base coat of our honey soy slammer first. Make sure you get your edges. Then I'm going to go steak shooter on top of that. Just going to press that rub in. Then we'll flip it over and get the top side. Now it doesn't really matter what type of pork ribs you use. I'm using spare ribs today, but if you want to use baby backs, then go ahead and do that. It just comes down to personal preference. All right, now we can get the rest of this barbecue set up. All right, so as you can see, our startup briquettes are ready, and we want to dump them up this end of the snake. As I mentioned earlier, these briquettes are set up in a domino fashion, and these ones will be burning clockwise. So I'm going to go ahead and dump these briquettes in at the start of our snake. Then we just want to stack them up neatly. Then we can go ahead, get some smoking wood ready. I like some nice sweet smoke with my pork ribs, so I'm going to be using some Mile from Natural Smoke. I'll just be using 1 chunk because these pork ribs are quite small. I'm just going to sit that about 1/4 of the way up our snake. Then we'll close our lid. Now we'll give our barbecue and smoking wood 5 minutes to preheat. Alright, so our barbecue's preheated nicely. It's sitting just below our target temperature, which for this cook, I'm going to hold our barbecue at around the 275 Fahrenheit or 135 Celsius range. So let's get these pork ribs on. Alright, so we'll open our lid. I'll get this smoking wood straight on where our briquettes are burning. I'm going to lay a drip tray down below where our pork ribs are going to go. And we'll get our cooking grate back on. And then our beautiful pork ribs will go just up here. Then we can shut our lid and let these pork ribs smoke away. Alright, so for the first 60 to 90 minutes of this cook, all we really need to worry about is fire management and maintaining that clean, steady burning fire. If you do struggle maintaining a clean, steady burning fire, or if you just want to learn a bit more about fire management in a kettle style barbecue, I'll put a link to my fire management video down in the description for you to check out. So if you are using another kettle style barbecue, like a Weber kettle for example, you can follow along to this video as well. So I'm going to let these pork ribs smoke away for a while, and we'll be back once we're a bit further into this cook. Alright, so we're about 1.5 hours in. Our temperature is holding beautiful. And all I'm going to do now is spritz our pork ribs as the top is looking a little bit dry. I'm just using water, but if you want to use some fruit juice, then go ahead and do that. So I'm going to spritz them again in another hour, and then we'll be ready to wrap them up. All right, so it's been just shy of 2.5 hours. It's time to wrap these pork ribs up. And I'm going to lay them meat side down on some good quality foil on top of 2 tablespoons of butter. I'm going to keep it super simple. We're just going to put 2 tablespoons of butter on the underside, wrap them up nice and tight. and get them straight back in the smoker. Alright, so our pork ribs for this McRib burger are going to go back into our barbecue for about an hour before we check on them. Now normally I'll take my pork ribs off around that 205 Fahrenheit or 96 degrees Celsius internal mark. Usually they're probing right around that range, but I want to take them a little bit further so we can slide them bones out. So we'll let our pork ribs go now, then we'll come back once we're ready to check for probe tenderness. Then we've still got to sauce our pork ribs and then build our McRib burger. All right, so it's been an hour. We're just about ready to check our pork ribs, but before we do that, we just want to get a couple more things ready. I've just got some thinly sliced brown onion. I usually like to use white onion. I find brown onion a little bit too intense. So what we're going to do is we're going to brine it in beer for about 15 minutes to take that intense flavor out of them. And that'll also give them a nice subtle beer flavor as well. Then you can go ahead and get your favorite pickles ready. These are my new favorite pickles. They are the sweet and spicy pickles from McClure's. We can worry about our bread roll once we've sauced our pork ribs, which is what we need to check now. Right, so we'll open our lid, unwrap these pork ribs. All right, they're feeling good, but I reckon they need to go a touch longer. So we'll wrap them back up. But before we close our lid, we're going to start heating up some barbecue sauce. Now you can use your favorite barbecue sauce, but this is going to be my new whiskey jalapeno barbecue sauce. I'm hoping to release this in early 2023. So we'll get some of that in a tray, we'll close our lid again, and we'll come back in about 15 minutes to check them pork ribs again. All right, so we're ready to check these pork ribs again. All right, they are feeling much softer. You can always just get the end of a bone, give it a little wiggle. If it feels like it's going to fall out, then it's ready. All right, and then next, I'm just going to carefully take these bones out. All right, and once you've got all the bones out, flip them over so they are meat side up. And then we'll just give them a nice, generous baste in our barbecue sauce. We did lose a rib up the thinner end, but that doesn't matter too much. All right, and then we'll shut our lid and give that sauce 5 minutes to set. All right, then you can get your favorite bread roll, cut it in half, and then we can toast it. All right, then once your bread's toasted and the sauce is set on your ribs, we can start building this McRib. All right, so we'll lay down that beautiful rib meat, then our onion, and our pickles. Then we can put our lid on and enjoy. Now that's a McRib. So there you have it, how to make a McRib using real smoked pork ribs. Now our channel members seen this video weeks ago. So if you want to join as a channel member for special perks, click the join button down below. I'll also put a link in the video description. But for now, that's the end of the video. So if you've got any questions, don't hesitate to ask them in the comments below. Thanks for watching and we'll see you next time.